بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. I just came on early a little bit to make sure my system is running correctly. So don't feel like you're going to be missing something if you came a little late. Allah, Bismillah. Is the voice clear for everyone? Just say, make sure, give me some yes, yes, that my voice is clear, my sound is clear. Inshallah. Tayyib, it's good, mashallah. Allah. But before we begin, I wanted to share a few minutes. I had some interesting conversations yesterday, and I thought, that they gave me some thoughts to consider, especially when we're doing da'wah. We all have a desire as Muslims to bring others to al-Islam. We have that desire, we have that concern, that we want to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I want to give you some advices quickly that I benefited yesterday that I wanted to share with you. I did it from my discussions yesterday, some advices that I wanted to quickly share with you. Especially when you're talking about people who you already perceive have a different understanding of the religion to you than you. So I'm not necessarily talking about someone who is an obvious non-Muslim. I'm talking about someone who believes that they are Muslim, believes that they are following the right way of Islam, and you're discussing with them and you realize that their understanding might not agree with your understanding. So this is two people who believe they're Muslims, they believe they're right, but they have different understandings. Sometimes about fundamental things of the religion, and sometimes branches of the religion. So sometimes that disagreement is in the creed of Islam, sometimes it's in the practice of Islam, and sometimes it's in aspects of spirituality, and sometimes it's in the secondary sciences of Islam. It can be all those things. One of the first things that you should try your best to do when you talk to such person is talk from the side of brotherhood, sisterhood, friendship. Don't begin the conversation from the side of enmity and contradiction. Don't start like that. Before you even talk about the subject, establish some kind of bond between you, whatever it may be. If the bond is just mutual respect as human beings, as Muslims, because that's the initial thing. If I say I'm a Muslim, until something else comes from me that contradicts that, obviously, then I'm a Muslim, even if I have a bad understanding. And give me that and give the other that. We are Muslims. That's where we starting at, right? And along with that, as you establish this bond between you, because it's going to be the foundation by which you dialogue. If you dialogue from a point of friendship or brotherhood or sisterhood, then you don't start the discussion in an adversarial manner. Because you're saying we're friends, we're brothers, we're sisters, right? That's number one. Number two, start off with the benefit of the doubt for the other. Imam al-Shafi'i, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, his position, and this was related to matters of al-fiqh, but still the position I want you to focus on. He said, I believe that I am correct with the possibility that my opponent is correct. I believe I'm correct and my opponent is wrong, with the possibility that my opponent would be correct, the one I'm talking to. And I believe my opponent is incorrect and I am correct, with the possibility that I may be incorrect. That's a framework to deal with others. Maybe you may be correct, but you may be misunderstanding your opponent. And your opponent may be correct, but you're incorrect in the fact that you don't understand what he's saying. So there's a deficiency in your ability to comprehend what he's trying to say, even if you don't know how to say it, right? And he may be correct in what he's saying, just don't know how to articulate it, right? That happens. So if you start with the benefit of the doubt for the other, you say, MashaAllah, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're friends, we're fellow human beings. And our whole job is to guide each other to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's our concern. That's the concern. I want to guide you to Allah. And I would like to be guided to Allah. That's it. If you start with that base, I think it is more likely that even if you don't agree, you won't walk away with hostility and you'll have the opportunity to have a future conversation or a future dialogue. It's very important. And all of that relates to the state of your heart, how you look at the other. And you should look at the other with a good look, not with a bad look. Because everyone has the potential to be among the pious servants of Allah. Everyone we see has that potential. Even if they're the worst of the worst, they have the potential, with guidance, with the mercy of Allah, with the tawfiq of Allah, to be among the most righteous. And that's got to be your position as one who's calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's extremely important. I had one conversation and one I was listening to someone. And both of them, I believe, were totally incorrect, totally misunderstand the religion. But both of them, I believe, really wants to do good. They want to do good, no doubt about it. I have no doubt about that. Nobody wants to pervert the religion. No one has an ill intent. It's just they didn't understand. So when I was talking to them, or talking to one, the other, I was listening. I wasn't talking. I was just listening. I was talking in my mind. But the one who I was having a dialogue with, my focus was not for me to be right. My focus was to make sure I understood him and he understood me. That's all I was concentrating on. I wasn't concerned that I was right. That wasn't my concern, to show him right, to make him know that I got the truth or the truth is with me. No, I wanted to understand him and I wanted him to understand me. If I understood him correctly and he understands me correctly, there is a high possibility that the truth will manifest, right? And this is extremely important. There is a high possibility that the truth will manifest if we both understand each other, because we both want good. I want good, you want good. I want to be a good Muslim, you want to be a good Muslim. I want to understand Islam properly, you want to understand Islam properly. If we understand both of us in that manner and we bring our understandings together, we'll probably achieve our objective. It's possible. So I spent maybe the first 10, 15 minutes establishing that. And he was looking at me like, are we going to get to the topic? I was like, take your time. I'm trying to make us be somewhere. Don't worry, it ain't no rush. We friends. We're going to be friends. We're going to be brothers. We're going to talk plenty of times. No need to rush. Let's get this understanding. And you know what? Every time we were having a discussion and I found that he was losing the point of understanding each other, I would bring him back to that point. In the middle of the talking about the proofs and evidence, I bring him back to say, did you understand what I said? Do I understand what you're saying? And he was, so no, do you understand me? Right? Do I understand you? Do we understand one another? Because if we understand one another, there's no way for us to become upset, because we're just trying to make sure we understand each other. There's no way, there's nothing to defend. I'm trying to understand you. If I don't understand you, that means you haven't done a good job in communicating. So don't get mad at me. Help communicate better so I can understand. I'm trying to understand. And the same way with you. If you don't understand me, that means my communication skills is lacking. So I got to do what I have to do to make you understand. And what was the point why I was making that? Because most people who are new Muslims, and we were talking about Aqidah, they don't want to liken Allah to the creation. They don't want to have a bad belief. But they were given something, and they most likely don't understand what they were given fully. They are saying words, but they're not thinking about the meanings of the words they're saying. So the job of the one who has the correct belief in Allah and trying to convey it, has to understand that this person believes that they're saying the same thing you're saying. They believe that laysa kamithlihi shay, no thing resembles Allah. What they're saying doesn't come out that way. What they were told was designed for them not to believe that, but they don't realize that. So your job is to get them to understand that nothing resembles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, which they believe that's what they're saying. And that takes time. Don't get frustrated and don't accuse. Just be patient and keep working at it and keep working at it. And inshallah ta'ala, ultimately, we go back to our base. If Allah wills good for that person, Allah's going to give him the understanding. It don't got to come from you, right? If Allah wills good for that person, your job is just to turn on the light, to shed some light on the matter. And the guide, Al-Hadi, who Allah, he is Allah. Just some advice. And I believe if that person continues to dialogue and think and ponder, and it ain't always one time, it may take one time and they walk away and they got to chew on that for a while, and then another time, when Allah willed that person would get guided, if he willed for them that, mashallah who can. But for us, we got to be the best callers to Allah that is possible for us to be. And that is just some advice I wanted to give you, because really a lot of people's problem is they don't understand. And how should they understand? From where they're going to understand? There are people who are intentionally misguiding people, and some of us are victims of it, and we don't know it. We just want to be good Muslims. That's it. That's what they told me Islam was. I was a Christian. I was a non-Muslim. I was an atheist. Somebody came, told me this is Islam. I wanted to be a Muslim. It sounded better than what I was into, and I accepted. That's all. So I don't know. He's bringing Arabic words, and I don't know all that stuff. I'm a regular person. I thought this was right, so don't beat me up. Help me. If I'm wrong, show me in a way, in a nice way, like you care about me, right? And inshallah, if Allah wills, I'll be guided, inshallah. Now, so that was just some advice. Is your microphone working? You ready?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Good, you're good. Okay. Inshallah, I would like you quickly to read on page 40, right? I want you to go up to page from the beginning of page 40 to the second paragraph in page 41 quickly, inshallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, on doctrine, chapter 11.
40 and 41.
Page 40 to 41. You must correct and protect your beliefs and conform to the pattern of the party of salvation, who are those known from among the other Islamic factions as the people of the Sunnah and Jama'ah. They are those who firmly adhere to the way of the Messenger of Allah Ta'ala, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, may blessings and peace be upon him, and of his companions.
I'm holding on this because this section is extremely important, and I want to point to something to you because I want to make sure you understand. So when I repeat, I'm repeating to instill in you some concepts, some portions of the knowledge. That is extremely important. Imam Al-Hadad here is talking about Al-Aqidah. Where is my Imam Al-Hadad book? La ilaha illallah. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. I couldn't find my book. MashaAllah. Sorry. Imam Al-Hadad here Allah, I'm sorry. Please be patient. Imam Al-Hadad, he mentions here, and I want you to focus on this. He talks about fixing the aqidah, fixing your creed, rectifying it, right? Protecting it, correcting it, right? And he says it should follow the path, he said, of al-firqatun najiyah. Al-firqatun najiyah, it is known as the saved section, or the saved group, or the saved party, if you want. He says the party of salvation. So al-firqatun najiyah is an indication of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that the Jews divided into 72 groups, right? 71 groups, right? And the Christians divided into 72 groups. And he said, my nation, meaning the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will divide into 73 groups, 73 sections, right? All of them would be in the hellfire, save one. And then they asked him, who are they, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And there are many narrations of this hadith. And one of them, he said, those who are upon what I and my companions are upon. In another narration, he said, al-jama'ah, the majority. So this al-firqat al-najiyah indicating to this hadith, right? These were those who were known as Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And Imam Al-Hadad, he said, they are known from among the other Islamic factions. Look what Imam Al-Hadad says. He said, وَهِيَ الْمَعْرُوفَةُ مِنْ بَيْنِ سَائِرِ الْفِرَقِ الْإِسْلَامِيَّةِ بِأَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ. They're known from among the other groups of Islamic factions, meaning all of these people, they say and believe that they are Muslim. So understand that point. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. So that those people, they claim to be Muslim. So that's why he called them al-firqat al-islamiyah. They are groups who attribute themselves to Islam. So among them, the saved group that would be rescued, are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? And they are those who will firmly stick and hold fast to the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. So for us, Imam Al-Hadad is giving us advice. Make sure we are upon the minhaj of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? Now, with that in mind, you must understand that there are sections among these Islamic factions who claim to be Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, though their belief system is not consistent with what is known as Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah that is mentioned by Imam Al-Hadad. So the term of words is not sufficient. We have to know the meanings and beliefs that are intended behind those terms. So if I say I'm Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, then I need to know what is intended by Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what they believe, right? What they believe and what is their tenets of faith. Excuse me. I love my people, so when I see different things, it makes me happy and I laugh. So don't wonder what is he laughing about. Just some things going on in the chat room. Just mashallah. I try to block it out, but sometimes it catches my eye. Mashallah. So when we say Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we don't just put the title or the term. We want to know what is intended by that term. So Imam Al-Hadad indicates to us what is Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So don't say everyone says we're Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? Tayyib. What is meant by Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah? Because one of the things you'll learn, I was reading a book. It was a major book, like 20-something volumes. It strikes me, I don't want to say which book it was. I mean, it was a Sunni scholar. He was Ash'ari, right? Major scholar. And the publishers of the book were Salafi Wahhabi. They were the publishers of the book, so they published their works. So they cannot deny the scholarship of the person. So what they put in their introduction, and I advise you, every time you read a book, make sure you read the entire book. Don't skip the preface, don't skip the introduction, don't skip the publisher notes, read everything, right? So as I'm reading this book, they're talking about the scholars that his beliefs were, like many of the great scholars, they had troubles in Aqidah. And then they explained that they made figurative interpretation and this and this. And then he said, then the belief of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is this. I said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Really was a heartbreak because it's a nice text. But you know, once they put that, so the rest of the book you cannot trust because it's going to be them playing with the terms because of their own convictions. But he excluded the author out of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But the author was among the major scholars of Islam. And if I'm correct, as it's coming to my mind, it was a book written by Badruddin al-Aini, right? And so they consider the Ash'aris and Maturidis the same, so it really doesn't matter, right? And so he was, in a way, in the introduction of the book, in the publisher's introduction, he was warning the reader before that this person doesn't follow our way. Even though we're publishing his book, even though we're using his works, but he had a bad creed. It wasn't the creed of Ahl Sunnah. And then they give the creed of Ahl Sunnah according to them. So that's a problem. So I'm warning you of it. And it happens in books all the time. So when you just see Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, don't take that on face value. What is meant by Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah? That is the point. What is the belief of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah? And Imam Al-Hadad is telling us to follow that way, which is the saved way, but not just the name. What is behind it in terms of beliefs and convictions? Naam, go ahead.
If you look with a sound understanding into those passages relating to the sciences of faith in the book, the Sunnah, and the sayings of the virtuous predecessors, whether they be companions or followers, you will know for certain that the truth is with the party called the Ash'ari, named after Sheikh Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, rahimahullah, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, who
Stop 1 second there. Inshallah, barakallahu fiki. So Imam Al-Hadad, now he's saying, if you look with a sound understanding and a pure heart, right, at the text of the book, the Quran, and the Sunnah, which contain the sciences of Iman, the science of faith, what we believe, and you study the methodology and the path of the early Muslims from this nation, Salaf as-Salih, right? So here's the Salaf as-Salih. Among the companions and the followers, Imam Al-Hadad is mentioning them, right? So that is, Imam said, this is the way of the Salaf. He said, you will be certain that the truth is with the party or the group called Al-Ash'ariyah, right? So now Imam Al-Hadad is telling you, if you want to follow Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, based on the Quran and the Sunnah and the way of the Salaf, as-Salaf as-Salih, then if you look into this well, you're going to see that out of all these different groups, the group that is following that methodology is Al-Ash'ira or Al-Ash'ariyah. And they are named that following the great Imam Al-Sheikh Abul Hasan Al-Ash'ari, rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, Imam Al-Ash'ari is highlighted because of his work in clarifying and elucidating the creed of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is the creed of as-Salaf as-Salih among the companions and the followers, that is known in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and in the book of Allah. That's his job, right? That's his job, right? That's what he did. And because he was so good at that, those in his time and those after him up to today have followed his methodology in understanding the Quran and the Sunnah and the way of the Salaf in terms of the sciences of faith. So that's why that group is called Ash'ari, in following his methodology in doing that. Now, go ahead.
Who systematized the foundations of the creed of the people of the truth and recorded its earliest version, these being the beliefs which the companions and the best among the followers agreed upon. These constitute...
Here, when he said agreed upon, I want you to write this word, al-ijma'. Oh, what happened? I'm sorry. Al-ijma', which is scholarly consensus. So those beliefs that Imam al-Ash'ari organized were the beliefs that the Sahaba and the best of the followers at Tabi'een, they had consensus upon these issues. These are not issues of difference of opinion. So there are issues that in belief, there is consensus and you can't contradict them. Then there are issues that are not of consensus and there can be different opinions. But when we're talking about the madhab, the school, this is a compilation of those issues that they agreed upon. And that's where you can't you can't deviate from. In terms of action, those convictions, those beliefs, that have more than one opinion about them, there are branches of the tenets of faith, not the foundation. Because you have foundational beliefs that you cannot disagree with because they are issues of consensus. And then you have those details related to the issues of belief that there may be difference of opinion. And you got to distinguish between the two. Here, what Imam Al-Hadad is talking about is those issues where there is scholarly consensus among the companions and among the followers. Among those beliefs is the issue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clear of location, direction, and distance, and bodily attributes, right? That's a consensus among the Sahaba, the followers after them, that you cannot ascribe Allah with a location, with a place, with direction, with distance, right? With being a body or having attributes of bodies. All that is not befitting based on the verse, Laysa kamithlihi shay'un wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. This is an agreement among the scholars of Ahl-Sunnah, from the earliest scholars, even the latter scholars. And they all received their knowledge in a continuous way. Now, go ahead.
These constitute the doctrine of the people of truth in every time and place, and of all the Sufis, as Abu Qasim al-Qushayri, rahimahullah, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, indicated at the beginning of his treatise.
I want to mention 2 points. He said, this is the creed of the people of truth in every time and every place, right? I want you to highlight that if you didn't do it already. These constitute the doctrine of the people of truth in every time and every place. I mentioned to you this before, but I need you to understand it well and actually do research. I beg you, right? I'm going to leave you alone today. Somebody told me to get off your back, so I'm going to leave you alone. Uma Gold Media, I love you. Uma Gold's Media. I'm going to leave you alone today. MashaAllah. Allah. So in every time and place. So I want you to highlight Zaman wa Makan, time and place. And when you want to know your belief in Islam, in every time, that means every generation, every century. We're in the 15th century. So the belief should be the same in the 15th century, in the 14th century, in the 13th century, in the 12th century, in the 11th century, in the 10th century, in the 9th century, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The belief should not change. That's every time. And every place, no matter where the Muslims were, their belief should be the same. Whether they're in America, Arabia, Egypt, Syria, Turkey, Russia, China, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, no matter where Muslims are at, South America, Canada, their belief in every place should be the same, right? This takes research to understand this. So you're going to take not only place, but time too. So because you may be in a place in a time where the people in your place and your time have deviated. But what about the places around the world? Is it the same? What about in every generation? Is it the same? You follow? So when you say Ash'ari, you're talking about time and place. All the way back to Imam Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari. And then from Imam Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, you can trace those beliefs through the followers of the followers, and then the companions to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why the science of Isnad is important, so that you can connect, right? If you don't have this science of Isnad, there's no way to do that, right? Because we received our religion in an unbroken way, no matter where we go, we can ensure that these beliefs are the same. Let me give you the example. What year did Imam Al-Hadad die? So what centuries better did Imam Hadad live in? Between what centuries? That's a question. I want to show you something. That's why I'm asking you the question. (1132). Imam Al-Hadad died. So he lived between the 12th and 11th century, right? In Yemen, right? Between 11th and 12th century in Yemen. So he was born 1044, he died 1132, right? I told you a great scholar who was a great scholar of hadith, who said that whenever you say Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what is meant by them is the Ashariya and Maturidiyya. Who said that? Question, who said that? You heard the statement? Whenever you say Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what is intended by that is the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Who said that? I told you that yesterday. Okay, that's one part of it. Not Imam Al-Hadad. Imam Al-Hadad said that, yeah, but that wasn't the one who I mentioned. We were reading in Imam Al-Hadad, but another scholar I mentioned. And he's one of the greatest scholars of hadith in his time. The foremost scholar of isnad and chain of narration, and he was a hafiz in his time. Who was it? I mentioned him. Who said that? Al-Hafiz Murtada Az-Zabiri in his explanation of Ihya. Exactly. Good job, Sister Kimberly, Brother Kawi, and Al-Abdul Hur, the free slave, MashaAllah. And I mentioned Ash-Sharani and Ibn Hajar aid to me also. Great, MashaAllah. Imam Amin Muhammad. I'm sorry, MashaAllah. But he don't count. All right. So you got Imam Al-Hadad is in Yemen, right? One generation before Al-Hafiz Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi was in Egypt, and he was the big hadith scholar in Egypt, right? And he said the same thing. I'm going to show you. Here's the book, because a lot of times I can't do this every single time because it takes time for us, away from us. But here's the book. Itaf As-Sada Al-Muttaqeen Bishar Ihyai Ulumuddin, right? This is volume number 2. And here, right here on this side, right? I'll bring it up right there. See this? He said, and reading backwards is very difficult. إذا أطلق أهل السنة والجماعة فالمراد بهم الأشاعرة والماتريدية. Right here, right? إذا أطلق أهل السنة والجماعة فالمراد بهم الأشاعرة والماتريدية. Whenever it is said أهل السنة والجماعة, what is intended by them is the Asha'ira, the Asharis, and the Maturidiyya. You see that? There it is, right there. I know I should be doing a lot of things, right? Right there. There it is. I'll bring it closer so you can see it. So no one can say they can't see it. Let me focus in, right? إذا أطلق أهل السنة والجماعة فالمراد بهم الأشاعرة والماتريدية. There it is. So no longer you got to say Imam Amin said. Here's Itaf As-Sadat Al-Muttaqeen Bishar Ihya Ulumuddin, Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. He was a Hafiz. He was a Lugawi, a scholar of Arabic language, a scholar of fiqh, a scholar of hadith, one of the foremost scholars in the beginning of the 13th century. He was right after the time of Imam Al-Hadad. And he was in Egypt, in the center of Islamic learning, Al-Azhar, in that time. And he was the leading hadith scholar in that time. All of the asanid and chains of narration, they go back and have their routes with Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi, to the extent that he said there is no book or a chain on the first, or a scholar on the first face of the earth except that I have a continuous chain to it, or him. That's Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. So you got Imam Al-Hadad, who didn't meet him, who was before him in southern Yemen, Hadramaut, Tarim, they didn't meet, they didn't connect together except by Asanid, of course, right? Who said that the creed is of the Ash'ariyah, that is the creed of the people of truth, right? Right? And he's going to go down as we read, that is the people of the truth. Yes. So that's Murtada Zabidi and Imam Al-Hadad. So now remember when I said to you yesterday, I know I'm going, but we're doing it every day, so be patient with me. Sometimes we're going to cover issues, we're going to highlight some things, we'll come, Suleiman Tawfiq, be patient. This is a part of learning. We're trying to do, remember I told you, I know I speak fast with a lot of things going on. My brain just zoom, 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 trying to stuff it all in, and that's why I got to slow down, right? No microwave Islam. This stuff takes time. You can't rush it and cram everything. So you got to, sometimes you got to repeat, you got to review, and you got to take and understand the point that I got to make sure everybody understands. So if you understand well, just take it as a review. But remember, say there are some of us who these are all new terms, names, scholars. We've never learned like this ever. So this is not easy. Some of us don't know Arabic, right? This is internet. We're out in cyberspace, right? So we got to consider, we want everyone to understand. So we're patient, and we'll, inshallah, for those who are a little advanced, we're patient with the others till they come along, because we need all of us to do the work that we have to do. So we can't leave nobody behind, right? We can't leave nobody behind. Tell you. So I wanted you to get time and space, right? Time and space. Time, we went back to Imam Al-Hadad. I'm going to do something for you today. I gave you a chain, one chain. I could give you multiple. I gave you one chain from me to Imam Al-Hadad, right? I gave you a senate. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you another whole different complete chain back to Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. From myself back to them. I'm trying to show you something. Because if we're going to save our people, and I mean us in particular as African Americans, and then we have the job of helping others in other ethnicities as a ummah to all of us learn, right? But I'm saying us as African Americans because we're afflicted with it the most, unfortunately. And there's several reasons for that, but that's a whole nother discussion. So my concentration is on the ones who are suffering the most, right? Let's look at us in the hospital. This one has a broken arm. This one has stage 4 cancer. Who I'm going to work on first? The one with the broken arm or the one with stage 4 cancer? Or be concerned about that one first. That doesn't mean I'm going to ignore the one with the broken arm. I'm going to help you. But this one is going to die if I don't get to him quick. You understand? So look at it that way. So you don't, for those who are not African American, don't feel like, what about us? No, it is about you too. But you only have a broken arm right now. Or you may have something more severe. Some of y'all may have cancer. But more of us are suffering than more of you. Right? Because you got generations. All you got to do is learn your history. You safe. They cut our generation off. So we got a whole lot of work to do. So just so you understand that. Because I'm always concerned about people misunderstanding me. And I don't want that. I want you to understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to give you those chains, right? So that you can see time and sorry, Sheikh, I don't watch football. Right? Time and place, right? Time and place. So we mentioned place, Tarim, Hadramaut, Yemen. Time, 12th century, Imam Al-Hadad. Egypt, chain. Time, place, Egypt. Time, 13th, 11th century, Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. He died 1205 AH. Imam Al-Hadad died 1132 AH. In their time, these were the foremost scholars in their area. In the Hadramaut, Imam Al-Hadad was the Imam of the people in the world in that time, Imam Al-Hadad, right? Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi was the Hafiz of the time. In every place, everyone wanted to go to Egypt to relate from Al-Hafiz Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. So you're talking about the top two scholars in that time, right? All of them said, both of them said that Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Ash'aris and Maturidis. So your argument is no longer with Imam Amin Muhammad, right? Your discussion is to prove Imam Al-Hadad was incorrect. Here's his book. And there is the statement, right? Here's his book, and there is the statement. You will know that the people of the saved group are the Ash'ariyah, right there. Imam Al-Hadad said that. There's his book. رسالة المؤونة والمظاهرة والمؤازرة للراغبين من المؤمنين في السلوك الطريق الآخرة. That's Imam Al-Hadad. That's the book. He said it. Ash'ari. And then if you go on, we're going to read a little bit further. That last line here, I'll put my hand on it, that'll help, right? He said right there, move it, right there, right there. وَالْمَاتُرِدِيَّةِ كَالْأَشْعَرِيَّةِ فِي جَمِيعِ مَا تَقَدَّمَ. And the Maturidis are like the Ash'aris in everything that we just mentioned. That's Imam Al-Hadad. There you go. Now it's straight. وَالْمَاتُرِدِيَّةِ كَالْأَشْعَرِيَّةِ فِي جَمِيعِ مَا تَقَدَّمَ. Right? Everything that was mentioned before, the Maturidis and the Ash'aris are equal. They're both Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Right? That's Imam Al-Hadad. So you got the English text. So no one can say, oh, it wasn't. No, we're not talking about me. We're talking about scholarship. Imam Al-Hadad in his time was agreed upon by the scholars of his time to be the Imam of the time. No doubt about it, Imam Al-Hadad. Then we mentioned already, I'll just point it again. It's Hafiz Sadat al-Muttaqeen, Bishahr Ihya Ulumuddin, right? Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi, 1205. I'll bring it closer. Boop. There he said, same thing as Imam Al-Hadad. When Ahl-Sunnah is mentioned, it means the Ash'ariyah wal Maturidiyah. So our discussion is not with us. It's not an argument. We took our chain of narration as Abdullah ibn Mubarak said in Sahih Muslim in the introduction, Al-Isnadu min ad-Din. وَلَوْ لَا إِسْنَادَ لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. The chain of narration is a part of the religion. Without that chain of narration, anyone can say whatever they want, right? But when it is said, from whom do you relate, that person becomes silent. There's an addition to that. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda mentioned it. Whenever they said, from whom do you relate, the person becomes silent. I gave you a chain of narration from myself back to Imam Hadad to know how we get to Imam Al-Hadad. And there's more than one. I just gave you one because I wanted to highlight these great scholars that were followers and followings from generation that you can easily find. Because some of those, I give you some asanid, some chains, you don't know the people, so it doesn't benefit you. Like they're difficult for you to find because they were great scholars, but they're not known to everyone. So if I give you a chain, a bunch of people you don't know, it defeats the whole purpose. But once I give you a chain of people I know you can find easily, if you're a researcher, then you understand. And then when I give you chains of people you don't know, you'll start to learn and you can connect the dots, and it's easy too, right? But that's important. Why? And by the chain, you're going to find what Imam Al-Hadad said to be true. Every time in every place. But without the chain, you won't know that. You won't realize that someone has deviated. It is only through the chain that you'll be able to do that, right? So now when we say Ash'ari or Maturidi, right, I'm going to give you more, but I'm just doing it so. I just want you to. Imam Al-Hadad, in his book, Risalatul Mu'awwana, the book of assistance, he said that Al-Firqatun Najiyah, Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, they are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. It's in your book, you have it. Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi, the greatest hadith scholar in his time, agreed upon. The commentator on Ihya Ulumuddin, the linguist that they said no one reached his level in the Arabic language after him. He has a book, Taj al-Arus, in explaining Al-Qamus, a dictionary. It's like 25 volumes, 26, 27 volumes. And the original book is only one volume, only in Arabic language. That book is very significant, written by Murtada Az-Zabidi. And if you want to really get deep in these issues, you start using the Arabic language and you see how he approached those verses in hadith of the attributes of Allah that he mentioned in that big, huge encyclopedia, right? Huge. One of the biggest disadvantages we have is we don't have access, right? I'm trying to give us access, because once we get access, then we can ask proper questions, right? We can really investigate. And one time, Sheikh Samir Hafidhullah, he said to me, he was attending, right? Look at the humbleness. He was attending one of my classes. That shows you Sheikh Samir, he was sitting in my class listening. Wow. Sometimes I didn't even think about how that came out, right? And afterwards, he asked me, why do you mention all this scholarly stuff to these people? Right? Because that's not the way. That's not the way we learned, right? We just go to the teacher and we learn. I said, oh, Sheikh, you got to understand our environment is different from the way we learned in the environment in Syria and other places. It's totally different here. He said, what do you mean? I said, our people think they're scholars from the start. So you got to teach them at a level to show them that they're not a scholar so they can be a student. And he looked and his eyes lit up. He was like, oh, I get it. Our people think they're scholars from the door. Guys studied 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 1 year, and he think he's learning. So when you talk to him, you got to talk to him like a learned person to show him that you're not learned so he can come as a student. I mean, it's crazy. It's backwards. So if I just tell you, here's the book, first thing they're going to say to me, what? Where's your dalil, Wak? That's going to be the first. In none of our books, when we start learning, there's no proof. There's just rules, and you learn the rules. And then you go from book to book, you learn the rules, and after you learn the rules, later on, you'll get evidence for those rules. But you learn it through the chain. That's how we learn. We didn't read hadith books for a long time. We were reading books of Aqidah, books of fiqh, books of tasawwuf, with some hadith, a little bit, but not books of hadith. And that was later, right? Years later, right? But in our thing, from the door, to give you Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and go for it. The scholarly work, right? So in this way, the person will realize how much they don't know, and then they'll humble themselves so you can teach them. But if you try to just teach them, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to think you don't know what you're talking about. So you got to show them another level and then bring it down. I know it's backwards, but it works, right? It works. Because now when you mention all things which you're not supposed to know, right? Normally, if you learn in the right environment, you won't know all these things. You don't need to know them because the scholars got them. They're trustworthy scholars and they're conveying. But in the environment we live, oh, no, that doesn't work. You're considered a blind follower and all that other stuff, right? So it's backwards. So let's do it backwards, okay? And bring it so we can do it right. So what I'm mentioning these books, because in those books are the answers to most of those questions. That normally is a discussion for scholars. But since we're talking to laymen who think they're scholars, we got to talk to them in a way that they think they understand. So then, inshallah, once they get all this stuff and they can't memorize it, they can't hang out in those waters, they'll say, you know what? Well, you know what? Yeah, all right, take me back to that beginning basic text of Risalat al-Jamia. That's where I need to start. Yeah, I knew that before we started, but nevertheless, that's how we had to go. But that's the nature. So I'm going to give you that. So, hey, Farouk, do you remember this statement? I come giving you what you want, so you will want what I have to give. Quite familiar, Farouk. I come giving you what you want, so you will want what I have to give. That's an inside joke. He got it. If he didn't get it, he... La ilaha illallah. MashaAllah. Right? So, I'm going to give you... I'm going to give you... I gave you the chain of Imam Hadad. I saw someone put it up, right? Let me explain so we don't make claims, right? No, all the way back to Imam Hadad, Islam. You stopped at Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir. You got to go all the way back to Imam Hadad. So someone complete. So that's at Abdullah. She mentioned Imam Amin is this chain. Imam Amin from Habib Umar bin Hafid. Habib Umar bin Hafid, among his many teachers, was Habib Abdul Qadir ibn Ahmed al-Saqaf. And among his many teachers was his father, Habib Ahmed ibn Abdurrahman al-Saqaf. And among his many teachers was Habib Ali bin Muhammad al-Habashi. And among his teachers, he had many teachers, among the main ones of them, Habib Aydurus bin Umar al-Habashi. Habib Aydurus bin Umar al-Habashi was the Muhammad Murtaza al-Zabidi of Yemen. Deep, right? The same thing you said about Al-Hafiz Murtaza al-Zabidi in terms of narration and hadith and asanid, that same thing applied to Habib Aydurus bin Umar al-Habashi. Any route of Asada al-Ba'alawi, right? The chain of narration for after him goes through him. He is the main source of the chains of narration of the people of the house of the Prophet from the children of Alawi ibn Ubaidullah ibn Ahmad ibn Isa al-Muhajir, al-Habib Aydurus bin Umar al-Habashi, right? And Habib Aydurus bin Umar al-Habashi, he was a student of Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir, the author of the ladder to success in truly loving Allah. Tayyib, keep going back to Imam al-Hadad while I'll continue. So take it from there and go back to Imam al-Hadad. You have 3 more people in the chain back to Imam al-Hadad from that I mentioned to you from Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir. So someone add the other 3 back to Imam al-Hadad. All right? I gotta get ready to close this out. We didn't get to Salama Tawfiq. This is important, right? I want everyone to memorize this stuff. Because if you get used to memorizing, and I can give you more, for us, it's going to make you strong, right? If I can get you, don't think this is insignificant. Just remember, I said, just mention the name of the pious, the mercy of Allah descend. All of them were the most pious of their time. Among, and when I say the most, that's, even if we say most, we meant, you know, among those great, they were few like them. So that's when I say most. I don't want to say no one else, but among the time and their environment, these were like the head scholars, right? That doesn't mean they're not others who are even higher than them, maybe in status with Allah. But we're talking about well-known in their ranks of piety. This is well-known about all of them. No one's going to argue that all of these people are men of Allah. No one's going to argue that. Who knows, right? No one would even dare to say that. So you're talking about elite of the elite, as my partner Abdullah says, I study of the elite. Well, these are the elite of the elite of the elite, right? And I'm going to give you another chain tomorrow to Muhammad Murtada Az-Zabidi. Now, if we're producing it and the other one, we want you to produce the same thing. And I'm going to show you something by that. Because I'm laying out a trap for those who object. I'm laying out a trap. I'm telling you ahead of time. So you're getting ready to walk into a net, and I'm going to catch you as soon as you step in it. If you step in it, I'm going to catch you. If we got to do it, then you got to do it. Right? We producing our chain. So we're already up, already to the 12th century Hijra. So we got a 300-year gap between me and Imam Al-Hadad, or me and Murtada Az-Zabidi, right? You do the same. Bring your chain. We following the Salaf. The Salaf said, hold on. Oh, man. Where did I mark it? Yes. Here you go. Sharh Sahih Muslim, Imam Al-Nawawi, Al-Minhaj, Sharh Sahih Muslim, Al-Hajjaj, right? There it is. The statement of Abdullah ibn Mubarak, right here. I'll bring it close so you can see it, right? Sami'tu Abdullah ibn Mubarak yaqul al-isnadu min ad-din walau la isnad laqala man sha ma sha. Right there. Sami'tu Abdullah ibn Mubarak. I heard Abdullah ibn Mubarak saying al-isnadu min ad-din. The chain of narration is from the religion. Walau la isnadu laqala man sha ma sha. If it's not for that chain of narration, then anyone can say whatever they want. There it is, right? Page 47, right at the top. Volume number 1. Juz al-Awwal, no? Right? This is an introduction of Sahih Muslim. And this is the commentary of Imam An-Nawawi. So you can find it in Sahih Muslim in the introduction. There it is, right there. So here's my point. Bring your chain. And we're going to show you the statement of Imam Al-Hadad to be true. Every time and every place. If you look at every time and every place. So we're going to go to the places. I went Yemen. I went Egypt. I'll go Syria. I'll go Mecca. I'll go Pakistan, India. I could do the same thing from myself back. So somebody who says chains of narration are worthless, that's because you don't have none. That's why you're saying that. Or you don't understand what you have. If you have a Senate, if you have a chain, and you say it's worthless, then you don't know what you have. You don't know what you have. Because if you know what you have, you know this is the way our religion is preserved and protected. If you understand. And that's what makes Islam great. That's what really, when you understand, I'm talking about how our deen was preserved, and you understand that well, your confidence is going to be like, man, no one has it like this. No system in the world like this, like Islam. So when I'm saying that trap is there, and I don't mean I want to harm nobody, but the trap is going to be like, if you step into that, you're going to prove me correct. And it ain't about me. You're going to prove Imam Al-Hadad correct. You're going to prove Imam Muhammad Murtada Zabidi correct. You're going to prove Abdullah ibn Mubarak correct. You're going to prove Imam Al-Sha'rani correct. You're going to prove Ibn Hajar al-Haytami correct. You're going to prove Imam Al-Ghazali correct. Imam Al-Kushairi, so many, too many Ahl Sunnah, right? Because you got to produce it. That was what Abdullah, you say you follow the Salaf. Abdullah ibn Mubarak is from the Salaf. Now what we're going to do is we're going to examine the creed and the practice of all those men. So that's another step. So since you got all those people, we're going to evaluate that. All right, I'm going to stop there because I have to go. But let me go back. I think someone did put it. Freed slave. Where you at? I saw you put something up there. I don't know, where is it put it? Oh. The next one might be Habib Umar ibn Sakaf, ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf. Yes, that's after him. Then, so after you say Habib Umar ibn Sakaf, you can just say as-Sakaf. Then you put his father, Habib Sakaf ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf. So Habib Umar ibn Sakaf, right? As-Sakaf. As-Sakaf is the family. And the father's name is Habib Sakaf ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf. So that's two. Give me one more. Hurry up, inshallah, so we can get it. Okay, Isla, good. So Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir, Habib Umar ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf, Habib Umar as-Sakaf, Habib Sakaf, don't put as-Sakaf, Habib Sakaf ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf, who relate from Habib Ahmed bin Zayn al-Habashi, who relates from Imam Abdullah bin Alawi al-Hadad. I want all of y'all to memorize that chain. And there's a benefit once we start talking about these people, and I'm going to do it step by step. You're going to have such good feeling, right? So between Abdullah ibn Hussein ibn Tahir, the author of this book, and to Imam Al-Hadad, the author of this book, there are three people between them. So the Sheikh of Abdullah ibn Hussein bin Tahir is Al-Habib Umar ibn Sakaf as-Sakaf, as-Safi, as-Sakaf, right? He relates from his father, Sakaf ibn Muhammad as-Sakaf, who relate from the successor of Imam Al-Hadad, Habib Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Habashi, the author of Risalatul Jamia, the encompassing epistle that you're studying on Sunday mornings with Sheikh Abdul Rahman, who is the student of Imam Al-Habib Abdullah ibn Alawi al-Hadad, the author of Book of Assistance. There's the chain of narration. Abdullah bin Mubarak said the chain of narration. And there's more than one chain to that. So that's just one chain, right? And there are multiple chains that we can give. I'm just giving you one of high-ranking scholars of connection. There's one thing, and this is so you understand, there's two types of ijazas, more than two, but two types of ijazas mainly. You have an ijaza that is specific for a specific book or a specific thing, right? So there is an ijaza for that. And that ijaza is from whom they actually related that book or that saying or that. That's a specific ijaza. That's one type. So like when we learn a certain book from a teacher, that teacher will give us the ijaza for that specific book. Then you have what is called a general ijaza, which is the teacher will give you a permission for all of their narrations, and that is for the blessing of the chain of narration and the continuation of the chain of narration, right? So there's two types. So when I'm relating this type of ijaza from Habib Umar, it's a general ijaza. It's a general. And then I have from him specific about a specific thing. That's something different. But there's a general ijaza, which is for the barakah, for the blessing of continuing that chain of narration and keeping you in it. In other words, it's a way of telling you, here's your spiritual lineage. You should know about it. Then there's those ijazas in specific things, right? They're two different things. So most of the ijazas are general, most of them, unless you study with teachers, then they can be specific, right? On specific things. So you have a general ijaza, and then you have ijaza in specific things, which is actually you study with them, or you learn with them, or they authorize you relate from their route. But that's a whole nother discussion. So this is in a general way, this is a general connection. And it has its benefit, as you will see. I'm going to show it to you and explain it to you, right? This is important. Why is it important? Because what Imam Hadad mentioned, right, you notice, right, you can say in ijaz and understanding in your language, right, the way you want to say it, right? That means he taught you something specific and he authorized you in that. That's one. Then there is the ijaz for the connection of the chain, to connect you to our teachers, which is a general ijaza. Both of them are beneficial. Both of them. So don't undermine the one, because the second one, the general, when you know about those teachers, you still will help you protect your deen, as I'm showing you. You don't have to learn much. You know that's what he said. And then when you know all the teachers, so Imam Al-Hadad said that the party of salvation is Ash'ari and Maturidi. Here I am, and I'm nobody. I'm telling you, the party of salvation is the Ash'ari and Maturidi. Go above to Habib Umar. I'll show you his own books, his own lectures. I've heard him say it multiple times. The party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above to Habib Abdul Qadir ibn Ahmed al-Saqaf. He'll tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to his father, Habib Ahmed ibn Abdurrahman al-Saqaf. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Ali bin Muhammad Al-Habashi, right? He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Aydrus bin Umar Al-Habashi. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Umar ibn Saqaf As-Saqaf. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Saqaf ibn Muhammad As-Saqaf. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to Habib Ahmed bin Zayn al-Habashi. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to Imam Al-Hadad, Abdullah bin Alawi Al-Hadad. He told us in his book, the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him, and we'll stop just one more step. We'll go above him to his Sheikh, Habib Umar ibn Abdurrahman al-Attas, and he's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'ari and Maturidi. Go above him to Habib Hussein ibn Abi Bakr. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Go above him to his father, Habib Abu Bakr bin Salim. He's going to tell you the party of salvation is the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Everybody said that. Who are you to come with something different? And we could go all the way back to Imam al-Ash'ari, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. Does not just talk. I know many of us for years, you know what I'm saying, we got to have a chain of knowledge. Take the knowledge bit to lucky, but you don't know nobody in the chain and no one never gave it to you. So you don't know anything. You're just talking. Nah, we changing that. So now we know our chains and we could go that all way. We know our stuff. We know our scholars. You can't deceive us anymore. Remember they used to say, can a Muslim be food nowadays? Not nowadays. We should really mean that. Can a Muslim be food? Not nowadays. Absolutely not. All right, I have to stop. So you got a mouthful today. Get to memorizing. Everyone should memorize that chain all the way back to it. So work on that today. Just work on that, right? And make dua for all of those teachers, because if they're preserving the religion, we got it. So you make Al-Fatiha for each one. Go down the rank and recite Al-Fatiha for them. So that way I help you, and you're doing something, and you're thanking those teachers. So you go from Imam Al-Hadad, Ahmed bin Zayn al-Habashi, Saqaf ibn Muhammad, As-Saqaf, Habib Umar ibn down, Al-Fatiha, 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 Al-Fatiha. So that's a benefit. We're thanking them because for them, we got our religion. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Grandpa. You know, my grandfather in the religion, thank you. My spiritual grandfather, thank you for preserving our deen so that we won't get lost. We thank you. And at least we can do is recite Al-Fatiha. Let's recite Al-Fatiha for the souls of all those great Imams that we mentioned. Bisir Asrar Al-Fatiha. Inshallah, tomorrow I'll get Sheikh Abdul Rahman to make a chart for y'all. It's going to be in Arabic. Well, he might can do it in English. He'll make the chart and we'll fix it. I'll ask him about it. We'll make a chart. So don't worry about it. We'll do it. Don't worry about the chart. We'll make a chart for you, inshallah. Just give us a second, right? Well, he's good at that, so we'll do it. All right, I can't take no questions today, so I'll come online and I'll answer your questions after the class. Like sometime through the day, I'll go through the questions and I'll try to answer as much as I can, but I have to go right now. Barakallahu fikum. Make dua for our sister who does our reading. May Allah reward her. May Allah reward her family. Please make dua for my wife and all the behind the scenes work she's doing with getting this thing going and making sure these classes are available for us and facilitating the technical aspect of it. And make dua for Allah. Ask Allah to give her strength. She's doing all that with a 1-year-old child who just don't sleep. That's a good sign, though. You know, he likes to stay up at night, so we're expecting Qiyam al-Layl when he get older, right? But so make dua for all of us, my family who really gives me the freedom and help me to do what I'm doing, because I couldn't do it without them, without their patience, without you know all that they give me and support and comfort, because this stuff can get stressful. Please, inshallah, make dua for them. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.